Welcome to The Actor's Choice, where the actors and actresses have a chance to talk about themselves and their careers. Join us now for the next hour as we explore the marvelous industry of acting by actors and actresses from today's exciting show business world. And now, direct from Hollywood, here's your host, Ron Brewington.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ron Brewington, and welcome to The Actor's Choice. Roll it, Tony.
So I got the word nosotros. Nosotros means we. What are the goals? Very simple goals. First, to correct the image on the screen, to be judged by our ability, and finally, to have a workshop where our actors could increase their ability so that when the opportunity arises.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the past 13 years, my next guest today has served as the president of Nosotros, which is the oldest Latino arts and advocacy. Nosotros was founded by the iconic Mexican and American film and television actor Ricardo Montalban in 1970. We just saw him moments ago. Montalban worked for over 52 years to enhance the image of Latinos in Hollywood. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Joel M. Gonzales. Greetings, Joel, and welcome to The Actor's Choice.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Ron. Thank you.
It is a pleasure and an honor to have you here today, but please tell us where you came from.
Where I came from?
Yes.
Born and raised in Los Angeles, grew up in the city community of Watts, graduated from Jordan High School in 1992. So I'm born and raised, as I tell people, I'm born and raised in a local threat when it comes to the industry and what I do.
Okay. What made you get into this business? The gentleman that you just saw, he's long gone now, unfortunately. But you have been in this organization for, what, 13, 14 years now?
About 14 years. The way I came to Nosotros, we'll start with that before the film industry. But with Nosotros, I was working at the Paley Center for Media in Beverly Hills. It's another nonprofit. I was associate programming director there. And I was tasked with, doing different workshops and panel discussions. Being Latino, I've always tried to bring a Latino aspect to it there. And so in a roundabout way, a friend of mine who was on the very dormant board at the time asked me to come and join in a meeting. They felt that maybe I could bring something to the table, just with my ability to be able to produce events and put together some, panel discussions. So we met at the Ricardo Montalban Theater, which is right there, still there on between Hollywood and Sunset Boulevard, right there off of Vine. And I was just so impressed because I was familiar with Ricardo, obviously from Fantasy Island, growing up watching him, Wrath of Khan, and I remember I was part of a high school organization called Colors United, which also had a documentary made about it. It was years after I had already left the program. But it was an Oscar-nominated documentary where we were a theater arts program, there in Watts. So we got to travel, and I was exposed to like John Steinbeck and, reading all these different plays. And I tried the acting thing. And I remember I was going to an event early on. It wasn't at the theater, but it was at somewhere else where Ricardo was present, and just remember seeing him in a sea of all these people, So for me, it was kind of like surreal to be there and meeting with him at the theater named after him with this small group. To shorten that story, basically, after a year or so, a lot of the board was really just falling apart. I was asked by the president at the time, or president emeritus at the time, Jerry Velasco, to step in as president. I was very reluctant because I knew there was a huge responsibility behind that. But what I found myself was I dove myself into actually Ricardo's memoir, this book right here.
All right.
Really to get to know him, and then just did a lot of early YouTube videos, and I just found myself so connected and so represented by him, and I took the opportunity just based off of his words and said, okay, I'll take a crack at this. So I restarted the organization. We were still a 501(c), but very dormant after he passed in 2009. So I restarted the organization in a small venue called La Fonda Restaurant, just next to MacArthur Park in downtown Los Angeles. And 15 people showed up to my first event. And I was like, But over time, I mean, just to cut it short, we are now back at the theater. We are prominently, again, an advocate, a strong incubator program. We have our relationships all have been reestablished with the networks and the studios. and really being an advocate and bridging that gap for rising Latino talent. Everything through our master classes that we hold monthly, to our Nosotros Talks, which is very intimate fireside conversations that we have in our partnership with the Soho Warehouse in downtown LA. And then we do our annual, now going on 5th year, Ya Tu Sabes showcase, highlighting up and coming writers and actors to perform in original content that we as Nosotros produce. So now we are at the level where we're producing our own content, and that's how we change the narrative, by producing our own content. So all that over the last 13 years, it's been a journey, but we also hold a bi-monthly mixer there on the rooftop at the Ricardo Montalban Theater at the heart of Hollywood, where we have over 400 plus people show up. And it's not just a party to have a party. It's a place where people come to connect, to collaborate, and then they leave and they create, right? And we've created this great, no red velvet ropes, I'm an established actor, you're not. No, like, I do not believe in that. We're here, we're to network, and we're to connect. And that's done well for the organization. We've created a great community, and I'm very proud of it.
I'd like to bring up something before we run out of time, and that is the number of Latinos who have stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I can get some information to you about it. Right now, to my knowledge, the deadline for this year is May 26th at 12 noon. If you look behind me on that wall behind me, that's my wall over there. I help a lot of people get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Wow, great.
This would be very well. The number of Latinos needs to grow.
Yeah, for
If
sure.
you don't put the application in, it ain't going to grow.
Exactly.
It's $55,000 now. They've added a new legend. They have radio, television, stuff like that. Now it's a new one called sports. So there's a lot of things that's going on. But when we get a chance, we can be glad to sit down and talk with you about that.
Yeah, most definitely we should. Yeah, there's a lot of Latino actors that deserve their star there.
Jasmine, I was talking with you, and we said, when we get in front of with this guy, please talk about this. It's because every time I see people getting the stars, wait a minute, how come? Where's this one? Where's that one? That's where that goes. What does nosotros mean?
Well, Ricardo says it great in one of his videos, which, if you really want to access, to tell your fans, the Television Academy has a great 4-hour interview, multiple hour interviews with Ricardo. And they're broken down to beautiful, subject lines. And the one thing that he talks about, nosotros means we.
Yes.
So it's us united. Originally, nosotros was going to be called Mexico, because when he first was brought to his attention as being the leader or founding this program, this organization, he's often been quoted in his early days and later days as well as the biggest injustice that Hollywood did to the Mexican culture was the way that it was portrayed on screen. The lazy Mexican leaning up against the cactus with the sombrero, mañana, mañana, mañana. We don't need no stinking badges, things like that. So he never got to play a Mexican, actually. He was also Argentinian, Peruvian, Colombian, Puerto Rican, all of these things. And it's because of this portrayal of the Mexican culture. And even to this day, when you think about it, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? It's going to be cartel, right? Cartel or maid worker, migrant worker, things like that. But Mexico has so much to contribute to this country, and it has contributed so much to this country and this industry. So again, as a Latino organization, we say Latino, but we were originally founded as a Mexican-American organization. But then he changed the name to we, nosotros, because we are all sisters and brothers. We have everything from indigenous blood to African-American blood to, I just did the 23andMe. Apparently I have some Eastern European blood in me, you know what I mean? And some Spanish blood in me. So it was really important for him to make it all inclusive. So when they were going to form Nosotros, a lot of the other organizations and Latino groups were like, hey, include us in that so we could be one together. So that's what Nosotros means, we.
One event that you have every year is the Golden Eagle Awards dinner.
Yes. You have an old flyer up there, but I will say this. We brought back the Golden Eagle Awards. The original Eagle Awards started in August 17th of 1971 was the very first one, held at the the Hollywood Bowl with Charlton Heston, Desi Arnaz, Frank Sinatra came out and sang some songs. It was a night under the stars with Latinos. And since then, it was the prominent showcase award show, not so much as like best actor, best this, best that. It was about those that are using their influence, kind of like the Kennedy Honors Awards. So in when I started, it had long been dormant, but my goal was to bring it back. So we were able to bring it back in 2019. And we held it there at the Ricardo Montalban Theater. We closed down the street. It was beautiful. We could just tell the energy. People were excited to have this back. And our plan was to officially, at that point, celebrate our 50th anniversary again in 2020. But unfortunately, we all got hit with COVID. COVID came into everybody's lives, and we had to postpone. We had to pivot. And from that, we lost some sponsorships and so on, but we pivoted and we launched the Ya Tu Sabes Monologue Slam, which is now it's in its 5th year, that really helped kind of fill that void for something major that we produce every year. But the plan is to bring back the Golden Eagle Awards for our 55th anniversary, which will be in 2025. So I'm already in discussions with multiple groups, multiple sponsors, to bring that award show back. I was just at an award show yesterday, actually, for the Mexican American and Television Film Festival.
Right.
And a small little theater there, Harmony Gold Theater in Hollywood. And it's funny because there were so many older generation Nosotros people there, and they all talked about the Golden Eagle Awards. They all kept bringing it up, of the importance of it. And it just solidified for me that we need that. We need that award. So I will, give you the breaking news now. Like, we have also developed a statuette that we're going to call the Montalban. It's a beautiful design. And that's going to be the new award that we present. So it's going to be the Golden Eagle Awards, but it's going to be the Montalban Golden Eagle Award. And it's a beautiful statuette of Ricardo. So everybody's going to want that Montalban. The Oscar's okay, but you're going to want the Montalban. That's our goal.
It's all about the culture. You got to keep it going.
Yes.
Got a clip we want to show you real quick. Roll it, Tony.
And I wanted to ask you, what makes you, because this organization was founded like 40 years ago, but then it stopped. What made you take over?
They asked me to step in as a board member maybe about 11 years ago, and then the year later, the opportunity came up for me to step in as president. And I didn't know what was in store for me, but I believed in Ricardo's mission, and that was all the inspiration I needed. It's been a struggle for the last 10 years to see this award come back to life, but I knew that was...
Okay, you are a non-profit organization, sir.
Yes,
can you tell folks how they can help you out, money-wise?
We are a 501(c)(3). We're a nonprofit. You can go to nosotrosorg.com, nosotrosorg.com. And we have many ways for you to contribute annually. We don't really have a membership. Nosotros used to be a membership program, but I believe in giving our members something in return. And so you get a certain amount of perks for doing that. But on average, we just ask for $100 a year and you become a member. A member contributor is what we call, but you could just be a member by just being a supporter of Nosotros. And besides that, you can also follow us on Instagram at nosotrosorg. And you'll see there all the different programs. The big difference between us and other organizations, which are also doing great work, NALEAP, NHMC, all these other organizations, but they have a lot of tentpole events that they do throughout the year. We are constantly doing something every month. If it's not a master class, it's a Nosotros talk. If it's not a Nosotros talk, it is our rooftop mixer. If it's not a rooftop mixer, then it's another type of program or like intimate conversation that we're doing with a writer or a director on Instagram. So there's constantly something for you to plug into. The biggest compliment, and I said the most rewarding compliment I get, is when I see members that have seen us grow over the last 15 years, right? And they say, when I came to Los Angeles, and these are actors now that are working actors, have national commercials or have roles on television series, or left acting but now work in the industry as an exec, and they all said to me, when I came to LA, I didn't know where to go, and I came to Nosotros, and Nosotros gave me a home and gave me a community. So that's what you're supporting. We're asking you to put your voice with our voice so that we can echo louder. So that $100 doesn't go for anything more than just you to say, I'm putting my money where my mouth is and support an organization like Nosotros that gives back so much.
Before we leave you, Joe, how are things these days going for Latinos in Hollywood?
Look, I think things are progressing. They come in waves. People say we're seeing another Latin wave right now. I mean, myself as a Latino producer or a producer, we're seeing more acceptance of our storytelling. And I think the biggest challenge that we have is the challenge we put upon ourselves is not to stereotype ourselves, because the industry is going to do that itself. So we need to not do that and develop stories that are universally appealing and marketable with our culture woven into it and not about our culture. So I think there's a lot of progress happening, but keep in mind, we don't get a chance to fail. A show can be on by a Caucasian showrunner, fails, he goes off and he does another show, and then he's back on the network.
Yes.
Us Latinos do not get a chance to fail. So we have to support the shows that are out there. I don't always connect with the shows that are out there, but I watch them, I support them. Obviously, I want to make sure we're holding them up to an accountability of the quality of the production, but we have to support those. And we have to create elevated work. We have to stand on the quality of our work. And Ricardo was about that. Don't just give us the job, but give us the opportunity to compete for the job. Give us the opportunity to be seen and heard. That's all he ever asked for. And that's what we ask for as an organization. And that's what I do as a producer.
Joel, I can feel the spirit in you, my friend. I can feel the spirit, indeed. I want to thank you for visiting with us today. Here, a lot of what's going on in the real world is a struggle, but keep on pushing. I want to thank you, publicist and founder and CEO of Espada PR, Jasmine Espada.
Yes.
Wonderful lady, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe M. Gonzales. Take care of yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. This is the Actor's Choice. I'm your host, Ron Brewington. Roll it, Tony. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to let you know that we are asking people to help us get former baseball player Curt Flood into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Curt passed away January 20th, 1997. Was the husband of one of our wonderful guests, renowned actress Judy Pace. So all you got to do is contact the TAC office at 213-349-3941. It's 213-349-3941. Ladies and gentlemen, we sincerely thank each and every one of you for being a part of this magnificent award for a great baseball player. Okay? Okay. Roll it, Tony.
Is this some kind of joke?
Not that we know of. How is it a joke, Lucy Denise?
Well, place is called Lucy's. Been here going on 40 years. One of the waitresses been here almost that long. Name's Denise. How much is that Porsche? That's the 911 Turbo S Cabriolet. 580 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds, and a 3.8-liter engine with very little turbo lag.
Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest today is a magnificent actor and an extremely talented artist. He's on that stage. Wow. When you see this gentleman on the upcoming 50th anniversary summer season at the, here we go, Will Gear Theatricum Botanicum in Totoka. Okay? You walk away never to forget what you've heard and you've seen what you see that day, especially with this gentleman. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Max Lawrence. Greetings, Max. Welcome to the
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here, Ron. Really appreciate it.
Question. Did the little guy get here yet?
He's not here just yet. My wife and I are eagerly awaiting the birth of our son, our first baby. In fact, I'm in his room right now. Before we converted it into a nursery, this space was awesome for auditions, voiceover work, etc. So it's only fitting that my next big role as father, I'm able to pay homage to what this space has meant for me.
Go on, Pops. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. I had 8, so I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. Wow. Where were you born at, sir?
I was born in Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C.
Silver Spring, Maryland. Yeah, that's the DMV.
Remember at Howard University, they used to have a thing called wings and things. Remember that?
Yes, and it's great that you mentioned Howard University. So my parents are both from further up north.
Okay.
And they met at medical school at Howard University, and we've been DMV ever since.
Well, I'll be blessed. What in the world? My goodness.
Yeah.
Goodness. That is great. When you see people getting around, I knew a family of, in fact, I was married to a lady who was a doctor, and her sister was a doctor who had 2 other daughters, and they were doctors. So you got 4 Black women standing up there with all MDs, but interesting.
It's beautiful. And it's at church, they would always ask my parents, well, what is Max going to become a doctor? Are you going to pass that legacy down as well? And, they were wonderful. And they said that they would support me in whatever endeavors I decided to pursue.
Didn't we tell you that gentleman has got a voice? God gave him a gift. That man has a voice.
Oh, very kind of you. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. 2008 was the year you had a movie called The Hotel. Remember that?
Yes. So I was working or I was studying at Ithaca, Ithaca College in upstate New York, and they have, in addition to having a very strong theater conservatory program, they also have an excellent film and communications school. And it was one of the many great collaborations working with some of the students there as they're putting their skills to the test and gaining experience, right there in the classroom setting. That was very fun. I had to play multiple different characters that all had the same face, kind of a psychological short film.
Got you. You got your first IMDb film credit on that particular job.
I remember it fondly.
Yes, indeed. The love of performing and telling storytelling. What does that do for you?
I heard lots of stories first from my parents, just about different people that they would see in the medical profession, different walks of life, and it just helped me to really understand from a very early age. Many people have so many different experiences, very rich histories, and how each one of those stories that my parents told, whoever they were, the patient that they were talking about, the person that they interacted with, was treated with such care and such dignity. And I saw that there was a lot of power in that. And so the opportunity to then make that more of my calling, it felt very natural. It felt like an homage to those stories that my parents would tell about the folks that they came into contact with.
Got you, because you have a wide background in various voice, speech, movements, and techniques.
That's correct.
How do you take care of your voice? How do you do that?
So my care for my voice is actually part of care for myself in a larger sense. I operate best when everything is in the best alignment that I can bring it into. And for me, as I mentioned, growing up, very familiar with church. Church is still a big part of my life, and that, starting with my spiritual health and my faith health, helps to keep everything in alignment. And then after that, making sure that my relationships, my community is strong, that things are strong between me and my wife, and soon to be, with our son, and with friends and community. And then making sure that my body is taken care of, making sure that my mind and my emotions are strong. So it's easy to think, I need to focus on my voice or just my physical health, but it's really in care for my total self that I have experienced, the best results and gotten the most out of my body, my voice, my imagination, my full instrument.
Gotcha. Let's see. By the way, a gentleman by the name of Jeremy Rabb was a guest today.
Yes.
Yes, he said he knows you.
Yes. So Jeremy and I worked together at A Noise Within on the play Twelfth Night, which is my favorite of Shakespeare's comedies. This was actually the first play that A Noise Within produced and performed in their new Pasadena space. So the play it's full of celebration. It's very funny. And, it was just a really nice way to welcome the space for a sense of joy and celebration and performance and topsy-turviness. And so Jeremy and I, we spent a lot of time together in that play as part of a very mischievous and bumbling trio of characters.
And both of you guys are tall guys. He's 6'4".
Yes, it was. I look up to him in more ways than one.
2021, you did a program called The Burn Photo.
Yes.
Podcast series. Interesting.
Yeah. So this was this was a very special project for me because this was in the midst of the pandemic when so many artists were. They didn't really have the opportunities to perform the way that they had been so used to.
Gotcha.
And so an opportunity came along through a friend of a friend who I met at Will Geer's Theatricum Botanicum. And they said that they were working on this podcast. It was going to be produced like a play where it was two characters having this great mystical and spiritual adventure. And by the really halfway through the play, these two characters re-meet, but they re-meet starting the other character's track. So really, we these two characters kind of exist going in circles with one another. So we each got the chance to do the whole play and explore what these words meant to us, where these two characters had similar callbacks to the previous character's experience, how these words were impacting us differently, where the two experiences kind of split and became original. So it was a lot of fun, and of course conveying all of that only through voice and relationship with one another. And it was a marvelous experience.
Speaking of experience, because we want to talk about Macbeth, but ladies and gentlemen, that gentleman you see sitting right there in 2019, he got involved with what they call the ADR Loop Group. Now, this gentleman, from that time, from 2019 to today, he has been in at least one play or one movie at least per year. Now, can you take up the next one there, the Black Panther? Here's a picture of one of just one of the places this gentleman has been in. He's the voice that tell us what ADR is. What is that, please?
So this is so basically when movies or TV shows projects are being filmed, there are individuals who will give supplementary voices to the action so that the principal actors will still be heard nice and clearly. And then other actors will come along a little bit later, and some of the folks who are in the background will give them some extra conversation. And then other things that take place, action scenes and things like that, we lend our voices to supplement the work that the talented filmmakers and performers have already laid the groundwork on.
Got you. Because this gentleman, his voice has been with the Woman King, Elvis, George Freeman, and a whole bunch of 12 right now. You got 2 in post-production right now.
Yes. I'm very grateful for the work. It's a wonderful experience and a great way to use that instrument.
And then came Macbeth.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm so excited about this play. So I mentioned already that Twelfth Night was my favorite of Shakespeare's comedies. Macbeth is bar none my favorite of his tragedies. And so to be able to work on that for the upcoming season for our 50th year as a theater company at Will Geer's Theatricum Botanicum, and to play the title role, it's beyond an honor. It's beyond exciting. It's some of the hardest and most challenging character work that I have had the pleasure of sinking my teeth into so far. But this has been a gratifying experience so far, and I am so excited for when we get to share our work with the public. There's some really masterful storytelling that's taking place, and we can't wait to have an audience.
We got a couple of photos here. The first one shows you in that. Look at that, what he's wearing.
Yes.
The long sword you got there.
I just love a play where we get to wear boots and swing a sword around. Right. Shakespeare's language has been so adaptable, and folks have used many different settings in order to tell his stories, and there is a lot of value in those interpretations of his words. But sometimes it's just nice to put on some boots, in some cases put on some tights, get a sword in your hand, and of course you can see behind me that's not a remote setting or anything like that. That's actually the background of the stage where we will be performing. It's truly a place like nothing else in Los Angeles, and to be able to tell the story this way, we're all very, very excited.
Next photo. As you and Willow Geer.
Willow and I have such a fun and rich history working together up at this theater. I've been a company member myself since the 2011 season, and through that time, Willow and I have been opposite each other as lovers or wooers in several different shows: A Midsummer Night's Dream, The Imaginary Invalid, Twelfth Night. I tried wooing her in The Merchant of Venice. We've been Romeo and Juliet at field, on field trips where we would go to different schools. So there's something really special about being able to continue working with her. There is so much trust and so much respect between us, and we're really able to. We've had a lot of happy relationships. So this one, we're definitely dabbling in the darker side a little bit. But there's nobody that I would rather be exploring this character and telling this story with.
Before we leave you, there's a picture we have of you inside the venue. Look at that, folks. Look at that.
Yes. It's just wonderful. It's carved right out of the hillside in Topanga Canyon. It's the perfect place for a summer evening, and we can't wait for for the season to start in just a couple of weeks. And for anybody who is, we hear all the time, oh, I've driven past this place for years. I had no idea what a beautiful space it was. Actually, one of my most memorable times using that stage was when my wife and I got married. It means so much to me in so many different ways, and it is nothing short of a joy to be able to experience it with other folks.
Max, you done it again. I see two marvelous productions awaiting a full house to see the best in outdoor productions. It's been a sincere opportunity meeting you, and best wishes in your career, sir. And as they say, break a leg, brother. Break a leg.
Thank you, Ron. I really appreciate the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Max Lawrence. Oh, yeah, and by the way, give the best to your publicist, please, Lucy Pollack.
Lucy is number one.
Thank you. This is the Actor's Choice. I'm your host, Ron Brewington. Roll it, Tony.
Thank you so much, Ron. Appreciate it.
I want to thank our sponsors, Harvey Brandman, Photography is an Art, Ron Erwin's Loose Life, Way to Lose Weight, Larry Buford's Back to the Book to the Future, Time Travel, Message in a Capsule, State Farm Agent Carla Green, veteran actor Rob Brownstein's Actor Training School, and Actors Space. Much thanks to our guest today, producer additional Joe M. Gonzales, and Max Lawrence, additional crew and actor. And of course, special thanks to our ever-growing audience. Be well. See you next time.